Hi, this is Celie. And just wanted to mention that I have this book. It's my current published. It was published 2 years ago. Current publication. Um, the art was done by someone who read the book, and this is their vision of what this story looks like. They even have the author right down there, and so it's on the cover. So you can look up his work. It's known for murals and t-shirt designs. And so this is the only book that will have his work on it. And so right now I have that book is already published, but I have a current work in progress. And the plan is to do a spin-off story for each individual character that plays a big role. But so right now I'm working on one, but the main character is an elf, and he can fly without wings of any kind. So he's walking around looking like an average Joe with, sharp features and the pointy ears. One of the things that stands out is that he has silver skin and he has bright colored hair. And so, the fun thing is, he's named after a bird and he can fly, and it's just an ingrained born magic. And so there's a legend of how these cloud elves came to be, and they're a combination of two different elven races. And one was the wood elves, where their lineage started on the planet, and then there's another mythical elf that they are descended from the stars. And this is like a being with more energy and less physical form. They are on a higher level, but they're dying now. So the big plan that they got to, I imagine, would be like a plan B. I don't think it's like the first plan they would come up with, but they decided that they're gonna just pass their genetic codes down to another successfully surviving elven race and create these hybrids. And so the descendants of this combination look vastly different from the two original races. And so they're somewhere in the middle, and all the kids are given to the wood elves. They're raised up on the ground. But as they're getting older, they start to fly. And they end up leaving their ground-based relatives and build cities in the skies. They have a floating city. It's held up in magic, and they live in the clouds, and so they become deemed the cloud elves. And so they don't live literally on the clouds like some Cupid or something, but they're little cherubs. They literally have technologies, and the magic is close to technology. It's like mechanical, but they have physical land in the sky. They have buildings, they have businesses, they have homes, they live there, and they tend to move the city around. So they're not fixed to one location. They do commerce with people on the ground, they travel around, they're very cultured, but they're a little self-absorbed. And in my first book, it talks about how the character is among this group of adventurers. It was the city was displaced. It crashes. I mean, devastation. And it didn't just crash like it hit some unpopulated area. It like crashed on another city. And so it had been many years separated between the two races. Now the two races dealing with a common disaster. And so they're trying to deal with each other. They come out with, they're not going to rebuild the city. So the city of the sky is down, and it's not going to be rebuilt. And people are trying to find their place on the ground. Trying to learn how to live fixed in one location. Where traveling is not as easy as it was, and you have to put down roots. So this guy, he starts to travel, but he's having trouble putting down roots and settling in. So he finds himself with adventurers, and adventurers travel. They move around. So this kind of appeases his need to move around a bit, but it puts him in situations where he's in conflict all the time. And part of him is like kind of needing a little conflict, needs some resolution, needs to be the good guy, needs to be rescuing people, needs to atone for some part he played in the devastation that wrecked an entire people. And so, in the end of my first book, he does connect, and he connects with a human and several other characters, and he's able to settle. And by settling, he's not giving up who he is, but he becomes more. And then, so my work in progress is like before he meets up with these adventurers, is just after the devastation of the down city, and his first heading off into adventure. And he gets that taste, that taste of getting in there, solving a problem that nobody else could fix, and his unique perspective on things. And so, I have it laid out. I've started writing on it. And in this story, I'm going to have a conflict between one kind of elf and harpies. And so the conflict is, again, people kind of not valuing the culture and the sovereignty of another people. And I plan for the conflict resolution to be a real resolution with a peace involved. Not everybody's gonna make it, and that's a hard part of life, is that not everybody makes it. Not everybody gets to enjoy the happy ending. But there will be plenty of happy endings. There will be plenty of forever afters, and love conquers and justice prevails, because it's a fairy tale. And in fairy tales, the good guy wins, and justice prevails, and love conquers all. So that's gonna be there. It's gonna be ups and downs. It's gonna be exciting and thrilling. And for me, I'm working in a way I haven't done before. So I have to outline, but I tagged down how I wanted the conflict to conclude, and worked back to how it all fell apart. And then now I'm filling it in. So I'm not sure how this writing style is going to work for me, because I'm typically like, I start writing and I just write from the beginning to the end and hope I hit all the little taglines along the timeline and hope my ending makes sense. And it's typically one long paragraph that I have to break up into smaller paragraphs and then cluster them into chapters. So I'm hoping this works out better, because I have prearranged topics, like what I want to happen, where I want it to happen, who I want to be there. And so I'm hoping that it's an exercise that produces, but I hope it also grows me as a writer. And so that is so far an update on me as an author. And so I will do another update later, and maybe on other topics as well. So, alright, subscribe, hit like, and, wish me luck writing. It can be hard sometimes. Sometimes you stare at a blank page, but sometimes some wonderful things happen. So, alright, talk to you later.